Hello, family. How is everybody? Welcome. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'm so glad to see everybody here. Come on in, check in the room, family. We got just a little bit of information to discuss today. Join us. Let us know where you're hailing from. Good evening. I'm trying to get everybody connected here on all of my different social media outlets, but I appreciate everybody being here. I see people in the chat all over from Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all my social media outlets. But good afternoon. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Monday, November the 25th, 2024, and the time is 3:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I apologize for the late start. Hi, everybody on Instagram. Hi, Facebook. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Twitter. Everybody. So much is going on. Join in, family. Now, we have had a busy 72 hours, and I just want to tell you that the deep state, known as the government erroneously, they are in panic mode. It is a wrap for them. Let me tell you all the things that have been going on in the last 72 hours, okay? Join in, check in, let us know where you're hailing from. I see my family from all over the world. I appreciate all of your love and support. And some of you during the weekend were sending me Cash App blessings. So I want to say thank you so much. God bless you and having smile on you. Happy Moon Day. Dallas, Texas is in the house. Welcome. Welcome. So thank you, everybody that sent me love offerings. I really appreciate it because we did a live Friday night talking about how we didn't see the moon. So one of my friends who is a Moor called me and said, Kia, go outside. This was late Friday night. He said, I cannot find the moon. And I've been traveling, cross country doing a business trip. So I went outside. And sure enough, I could not see the moon anywhere. And it wasn't a new moon. I'm very familiar with the new moon because the new moon means that there's no moon outside. I'm Hebrew, and many of our holy days actually start during a new moon. So I'm very familiar how a new moon means there's no moon. It happens once a month. There was no new moon. Okay. It had already occurred November the 1st. So then I put up a Facebook post on Friday telling people I couldn't find the moon. So I said, go outside. If you guys cannot find the moon, let me know. But if you see the moon, let me know. So people from all over the country were telling me they could not find the moon Friday night. This was on the Sabbath, this Friday night. Then some people checked in from across the world. If it was late at night in their area and the skies were clear, they couldn't find the moon. So we were like, this is interesting. There no moon outside at all. Did they move the moon? Is the moon fake? Did they decide to take it away? We could not figure out what was going on with this moon. However, that happened Friday night. And it just so happened, was it Friday night? I think it was Friday night. Whatever day was the 61st anniversary of John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr.'s assassination. So he had been assassinated 61 years ago on that day. It was the 23rd, 22nd, I think. So that was Friday. Yep, Friday night. So we were like, is there a correlation between the 61st anniversary of John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr. and no moon being present in the sky? So we did a live showing, a podcast, and people were saying, sure enough, family, they could not see the moon. So what we did is we sent our prayers to John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., also known as David Quigley, who was taken by the deep state into protective custody. His mom actually paid the Hells Angels to protect him. And you guys know the story. If you don't know the story, we can talk about it later. But we sent prayers to him, and I sent him a message letting him know I was thinking about him. But there was no moon. But since then, we've had a busy 72 hours. Before I get to that, let me talk to you all for a minute and say hello. I see Chicago's in the house. Hello, Kevin. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Hello. Tiger is saying Trump 2025. Yes, because he was the one that was chosen by the Grand Army of the Republic, or the Global Alliance military, the white hats of the military, or the white knights of Nasara, to take down the deep state. Who is the deep state? The federal government, the fake government, a group of bloodline families, 13 at least, but there are 13 families behind those 13 bloodline families who have taken authority over our lawful government, our republic. And I can't wait to tell you about so much more about this, the fake government, and how they're shaking in their boots right now. But they were overtaken Our government, our republic was usurped. We already had a government. We already had a constitution for our government, for our republic. But when they took powers away from from our republic, they incorporated themselves in Delaware in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization. You guys know that already, with the Pope as the leader. And they since then, probably before 1871, but officially since 1871, has enslaved the planet. Now, later, I'm going to tell you about how, according to a report of the, who they call them, the White Dragon Society, which is a secret society of certain members of a certain group of family bloodline. According to the White Dragon Society, the quarantine of the planet, of planet Earth, has been lifted. So I got that information from the Benjamin Fulford report, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, let's talk about the first order of business. A lot has been going on since the Republic has been overtaken, but the Grand Army of the Republic selected Donald Trump, who was a businessman and he has not a doctor, but a degree in economics. He's a businessman and a degree in business. They selected him to take down this fake faux government, which we call the deep state, or the United States Incorporated, that was headed by the Pope. The reason why it was headed by the Pope, to some extent, is because the Roman Empire had never been officially completely dismantled. The United States Incorporated was just the pseudo Roman Empire, which is why they had the eagle as their symbol, because the eagle is something that the Roman Empire selected for themselves. So this is why the United States of America has the eagle symbol, because it was still the Roman Empire in power. But when you saw the Eagles lose the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, they were letting us know that the Roman Empire and the pseudo-Roman Empire, the new neo-Roman Empire of the United States Incorporated, that had enslaved the entire planet, had been dismantled and their powers were overtaken. So who won? The Chiefs won the Super Bowl against the Eagles, because they were letting you know through coded messages that the chiefs on the land, or the people who are actually, we're indigenous, or we are natural to this planet, unlike those interdimensional beings that came to the planet to usurp it and enslave it. Now we are back in control. Now our power has been restored. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we know that's happening, by the fact that the J6 political prisoners have been let go and set free. So that deep state is in full panic mode. But let me slow down and first say thank you for 255 people being in the chat. Please keep checking in. We're going to go through this quickly. And somebody said Trump 2025. Yes, he was the one that was selected to completely get rid of this deep state fake government and all of their entities. So the 439 so-called federal government agencies that were enslaving us, helping to enslave us, the EPA, the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and all of them, 439, some people say 469, all of them have been deemed as unconstitutional as of this summer in 2024, when the Supreme Court overturn the Chevron doctrine. Because according to the Chevron doctrine, these so-called government agencies could create any rules, statutes, codes, policies that they wanted and force us to abide by them. And if we try to take them into court and challenge any of these agencies, the judges would just defer back to them and say these agencies and their people in power and the department directors, they are the experts. So they had a right to make us abide by those rules. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States, the highest court on our land, said that all those agencies have to be dismantled because they were unconstitutional. So this is how you guys know that we've won this war. We just don't see it yet. So thank you. Keep checking in, family. Aloha to you too. Cameron, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Peace to you, Sister Ellen Mooney. Hello. We got some hot news. Hello, peace, family, to you too. What is it? Yuli Moss. Virginia's in the house. Ohio's in the house. South Carolina's in the house. Virginia's in the house again. Thank you so much. Hi, Chris, and hi, Rosebud from Virginia. Who else? Colorado's in the house. HC444 says, hey, from Colorado. Gorgeous day. Who else is in the house? Ohio's in the house. Happy Moon Day to you too. Good to see you all. I see Dallas, Texas is here. South Carolina. Facebook, somebody representing from Facebook is here. Hi, Melanated. So I'm going to continue to go on, family. I don't want to keep you too long. Daniel says, Buenos dias, buenas tardes from Mexico. Who else is in the house? Shalom to you too. Horatio. Maxine says hello from Conyers, Georgia. Keep checking in, family. Let's get it. Australia's in the house. Alabama in the house from my Instagram family. Hey, 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 Ohio, Michelle says. It's good to see you. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to tell you all. You guys have heard some of this anyway. Somebody says last night there was no moon where she is or where Serena is either. Interesting. Wow. Hello, live in, let's see, who is that? Live in the now. Hello, Las Vegas in the house. North Carolina's in the house. Hi from South Carolina. What's that? Charlotte, North Carolina. Missouri is in the house. So many people in the house. Thank you, family. Keep joining in. So since Friday night, I see Omaha, Nebraska. Montreal's here. Palm City, Sweden's in the house. Hi, Sweden. Dorothy is here. Taj Diami, one of my best friends for 13 years, is in the house. Welcome, brother. I love you. Somebody says they love this shade of pink on me. Hi, Michigan. It's good to see you. Hi, Nathaniel. Hi, Indiana. It's good to see you. My girl's always checking in, giving us lots of support. Connecticut's in the house. Hello. Oh, so much is going on. So keep checking in, family. So Friday night, there was no moon. And as we said before, that was the 61st anniversary of the assassination of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr. Now, many people know that JFK Sr. made this very important statement while he was in office. And he said, there has been a plot to enslave all of humanity. But why, before I leave this high noble office, I will expose this plot. And let me get the quote right. He said, there has been a plot to enslave every man, woman, and child on this planet. But before I leave this high noble office, I will expose this plot. Simultaneously, John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. was a friend of the so-called Black people, the Aboriginal people here in America. People call them African Americans, but by now you guys that follow me know they are the indigenous Indian, the original people here in America. He was a friend of the so-called Black people. He was a friend of the civil rights movement. So he did everything he could to get rid of racism. He knew that racism, sexism, colorism, all of that was a program that was put in place by the deep state to divide us. He knew that the planet was under quarantine. He knew that they were interdimensional beings that were here to enslave the planet. He knew all of this. So he was trying to expose the plot to keep us perpetually enslaved. At the same time, he was trying to return us back to our republic, which is the lawful government here on the land about which I spoke in the few minutes of this dissertation of my podcast. He also was trying to return us to the gold standard and return us to lawful constitutional money. So we were trying to figure out Friday night, is that why the moon had disappeared? You know, are they trying to send coded messages that, you know, the money, constitutional money is silver and gold, right? Moony, money, you know, that it's the same word with just an O put in it for moon or an O removed from it. And we talked about how the moon correlates with silver and silver correlates with feminine energies. So silver, the moon, and feminine energies are one and the same in terms of vibration. And the sun and the masculine energy and gold have the same vibration. So we knew that John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr. was trying to return us to the gold and silver standard and return us to constitutional law and to the republic. So to prevent him from being successful, they assassinated him. And then they mocked him and said, oh, you wanted to return him to the monetary standard by what's being silver and gold. We'll put your face on the silver dollar. You know, the deep state is evil and wicked and nefarious. So Now, in our time today, we see Donald John Trump having the same energy and the same goal as John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., being that he is chosen to take down the deep state, to expose the government, to expose these bloodline families who have taken over the republics all over the world. So let's get back to what happened Friday night. No moon, 61st anniversary of John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., a very, very serious time period in history when we were trying to get liberated, but they just further enslaved us. So within the last 72 hours between Friday night and today, let me tell you the things that have happened. Okay, Chuck Woolery, who was a game show host of the Wheel of Fortune. He was a game show host of other games as well. He died, and he died suddenly. He at first had a suicide attempt, and he died right after the Friday night event of No Moon, the 61st anniversary of the assassination of JFK Sr. Also, T.D. Jakes has a medical emergency, the pastor of the Potter's House. He has a medical emergency or a stroke or heart attack or something like that in the middle of his long, extensive sermon, right on camera. These things are like coded messages letting us know that something's about to go down. Also, Janet Yellen, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve, she announced that she was resigning and she's stepping down. Isn't that interesting? All of this happening right on the precipice of Diddy going up for possibly being released on bail. This is his third attempt to be released from jail on bail until he has to serve or until he has to go to court. So why are all these things happening right before Diddy is being released from prison? I mean, we know that allegedly the pastor, T.D. Jakes, had some homosexuality activities with other men, but people are also saying possibly he had some dealings with children. And I've been saying that for a long time. I've heard from some high-ranking pastors that I've been friends with because I am an ordained minister. And so I know pastors all over the world. But I've heard people tell me outright, I know for a fact that, some of these pastors that we have come to appreciate and listen to, some of us love them and know of them, have been participating in Diddy parties and doing things with children. And that information is about to come out. So just for these people to step down right now, I have medical emergencies, all of a sudden I'm having a heart attack, I might have to go to the hospital. It's kind of sound like this is a big one. I'm coming to join you, honey. I'm about to have a big old heart attack because Diddy's about to get released from prison. And that's why I said the government is panicking. The deep state is afraid. That's not all that's happening. Okay. That's big news that these pastors are about to get exposed for molesting children, but also some of these game show hosts and other entertainers that people have watched, these made idols of, that you're going to see them dropping like flies. Oh, Hollywood celebrities. That's another thing that's been happening in the last 72 hours. They're leaving America. They are scared. Not only is President Donald Trump the president-elect, but President Donald Trump may very well come and serve as the president at the forefront, because we know he's been the commander-in-chief all this time behind the scenes, but he might come up to the forefront a lot sooner than most people think, because another thing that's been announced softly by soft disclosure behind the scenes in an independent journalist podcast like mine, like Rumor Mills, like Operation Disclosure, and the Restored Republic website, we're all saying that the Brunson case has already been determined. So the Brunson case, for those who don't know, was a case that was brought against Joseph Robinette Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress. That case was brought to the Supreme Court by a group of Brunson brothers who are actually trumpet players from the 1980s. I think they were trumpet players, but they, in 2022, brought up a case against the Biden administration, citing that the Biden administration had allegedly participated or knew of election fraud, and they made our country very unsafe by breaching our borders with illegal aliens. And the Biden administration has already admitted to, you can fact check me, allowing more than 320,000 illegal aliens to come into our country. They admitted to it. Flying over. How many came by boat? How many came by sea? How many walked across our border? Okay, so this is what he admitted to. We know for a fact that there are more than 11 million illegal aliens or illegal people in our country. Most people say it's probably double that. So the Biden administration has already admitted to that. So the Brunson brothers brought a case against Biden, Harris, Nancy Pelosi, 385 members of Congress, citing that not only did they allow them to breach our borders, but this makes us vulnerable to violence. It makes us vulnerable in terms of them being able to vote, because a lot of them were allowed to participate in the election process, not only in 2020 and 2022, but even in 2024. Many people have already reported that you did not have to present your identification in order to vote. So the Brunson brothers said, you know what? When you breach the borders and you allow illegal people to come to our nation and vote, then in essence, what you are allowing is a coup d'etat. You are allowing our government to be usurped by people who do not have our best interests at hand. Now, this has not only happened in America, but this has been happening all across the globe. And that brings me to my next point. Do you know that something very, very important just happened? I believe that just happened today. That hundreds of J6 political prisoners have been set free. Hundreds of J6 political prisoners, thank God, have finally been set free. And I'm so excited about that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it incensed me to see the mainstream media talk badly about Donald Trump, saying he's the one that incited the J6ers to storm the Capitol and do some bad things and steal the laptops. And he's the one that called on them to do that. And you had people that were on both sides, the liberal side and even some people on the conservative side in mainstream media, saying the J6ers had no right to storm the Capitol and they're unlawful and they must be arrested. And I was saying, and I even got on people's podcasts and I said they had every right to storm that Capitol, because the Capitol is called the People's House. Thank you, Todd, if you're still here with me, because you're the one that helped me understand and understand over the course of the years that the Republic was our lawful government, and we have a right to dictate what happens at every level of government. And anytime, and you guys can fact check me, according to Amendment 1 of the Constitution, anytime somebody takes over your government and they're doing something that is unlawful, you have a right not only to go into the People's House or the Capitol and yank them out of there, but you have a right to form a militia. You have a right to form your own military and get rid of them. So for the mainstream media and the entertainment industry, and for people on their little podcasts saying that J6ers were unlawful, I say, thank God they finally been vindicated. And I felt so alone and I felt so lonely, yelling and screaming that they were within their power, because even some of the conservatives were saying I was wrong. They didn't have a right to do that. And there's a right way to do things. And if you don't like them, then, you should just demonstrate nicely and, write letters. And I was like, no, you have a right, according to Amendment 1, the First Amendment, to go in there and yank those people out. You have a right to get rid of them. These people are supposed to be working for us, family. We are supposed to be the ones who put them in office to represent us, not to take over. So yes, I am very angry. I am so angry about how they've treated we, the American people, and people all over this planet that's trying to liberate humanity. I am so incensed by how they have tried to silence our voices. I am so upset for how they've censored our podcast and they've taken away our videos. So now these rogue people who came out of nowhere, these Johnny-come-latelys, can act like they've been a part of the conservative movement all alone and get hundreds of thousands of viewers and followers and act like, oh, we've known it all along. No, you have not. There's only been a few of us who really stood behind this republic and did not turn our backs on the J6ers or on any of the people who were trying to restore our freedom. So let's get back into what's going on now. I'll calm down. Hundreds of J6 political prisoners have finally been set free. The rogue Department of Justice had imprisoned them or held them hostage for 4 years. So what should happen now that they've been set free? They need to be exonerated. Hopefully, President Trump will pardon them and their sentences need to be commuted. They also need to receive restitution, retribution, whatever, payment, money for the loss of their lives for all these 4 years. They need to be paid for their reputation being discredited or put on the line. They need to be compensated. And I'm praying to God that they can go home to their husbands, their wives, and their children. And I'm so, so happy that the courts have done the right thing by them by letting them go. And I think this is just a highlight to of President Trump now being back in office. I think this is a precursor to him stepping forward and actually letting us know that he is the lawful president, whether you say it's the 19th president of the Republic or the 47th president of the United States Incorporated. The man is doing his job. But it's not just President Trump. It is the people behind him. He has a grand army of the Republic. He has a whole military alliance, a global military alliance behind him working to bring about justice. He also has some interdimensional beings who we call the Galactic Federation of Light that are on our side that are trying to do the right thing by restoring our freedoms and lifting up this dark cloud that humanity, you can call us humanity or just God beings, us, God in flesh, have endured for thousands of years. That is finally being lifted. And the deep state is so afraid right now. They are panicking. So the political prisoners were over sentenced and they were charged with section 1512C2, which is considered the disruption of official proceedings. What does that mean? Disruption of official proceedings. They can say disruption of official proceedings about anything. You could probably be parked somewhere and they can say, oh, we cite you with section 151(2)C2, disruption of official proceedings. And you couldn't fight these people. But remember, the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron doctrine, stating that these policies and these codes and these statutes and these sections that the deep state government offices had created were unconstitutional against us. And those people who continue to push these policies, procedures, codes, and statutes, not only have they been considered going against the Constitution, but they are considered treasonous. The deep state is panicking because not only did the Supreme Court overturn the Chevron doctrine, now we see them executing the executing the Chevron doctrine being overturned. And the first thing that they did, one of the first things they did was let the J6 prisoners go home. So the courts had said they were charging them with 151(2)C2, but it was determined that these people had been over sentenced. And this is one of the reasons why the deep state fake government is in full panic mode. So I wanted to bring that up to you guys just to let you know that it's over for them. As our Divine Hazel, I believe this is our soul sister, has stated right here, we're now in the age of Aquarius. And this is going to happen for at least the next 20 years. The universe has always had our back. And during this age of Aquarius, we are ascending to a whole golden era. This is why President Trump said when he was became the president-elect and he gave a speech, he said, I'm going to take us back to the golden age. And I've been telling you guys since 2020, this is what Corona was all about. Corona. It literally means crown. Look it up. Corona means crown, as in gold, as in a crown on your head, as in your crown chakra, that energy center right above your head being activated, as in your ascending and consciousness. All of that was happening as we were going towards or moving towards the age of Aquarius. So the deep state was panicking then in 2020. They were like, oh my God, this is the second coming of Christ. Your Christ consciousness being activated, your pineal gland being activated, you now being aware of your higher powers and your higher self, knowing that you are God's in flesh. Now you're ascending to the fifth dimension. So the deep state knew that was happening, family. They knew that you were ascending in consciousness, and what they were saying, we're going to the golden age. Some people call it the Kali Yuga. We have, or the Corona. They were speaking in codes to each other, the elites. We got to do something to stop it. And that's why they came up with COVID, that sickness, to try to get rid of as many people as they could, and to try to get us to take the so-called cure for it, which deactivated some of our God powers, because they wanted so badly these interdimensional beings to completely control the planet and so-called humanity. But they're panicking now because it's over. That's why you see celebrities running. Celebrities are now trying to leave America, but you can't run, you can't hide, you cannot. And so what we're thinking is going to happen, and we're hoping is going to happen, is some type of emergency broadcast system announcement where President Donald Trump or the military will let everybody know that the deep state has been dismantled, because they're already bankrupt. They're already insolvent. Not only the United States Incorporated, but the Federal Reserve is insolvent. Why do you think Janet Yellen's stepping down? Because she knows her time is up. And I'll show you that article. It's over. So that Brunson case hopefully will be announced that it has been decided in favor of the Brunson brothers and we, the American people. And it has been determined that President Biden, or Resident Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress have actually participated in TREASON. As such, they have to have all of their credentials stripped from them. They have to have all of their assets frozen. They will go through military tribunals. And if it is determined, in fact, that they have committed high TREASON, they will be hung on the gallows. So it is a complete wrap for the deep state. Somebody says, Trump says we're going to get tired of hearing win. Absolutely. Corona is the Latin word for crown. Thank you so much for saying that. Our crown awaits us. Yes. And then we have that crown chakra right now, the energy center that's above your head, that's actually activated right now. So all we have to do is know that God or source is a frequency. Okay. So if you know God is a frequency, all you have to do is tune in to that frequency, because God is not outside of you. God is inside of you. Tune into that higher frequency. And the way you can tune in is by, first of all, knowing that you are God in flesh, knowing that you are source and that source is in you. And then make sure that everything you allow in your energy centers, in your eyes, your ears, your mouth, any of your energy centers, is only high vibrational energies. And when you do that, you'll raise your vibrations. Only listen to high vibrational music, high vibrational information. Only be around high vibrational people as much as you can. Only eat high vibrational foods. Try to eat as many living foods as you can. Living fruits and vegetables, herbs, those type of things. Drink pure water. There are certain ways we can raise our vibrational frequencies. Music is a vibration. It's a frequency. Make sure you only resonate with certain music. This is why a lot of entertainers are dropping off the face of the earth, because they were so low vibrational, and they were putting those low vibrations into our atmosphere, and we were absorbing that. The movies we were watching were low vibrational. Okay. So when you watch movies that bring down your frequency and cause pain and make you angry, being angst and anxious and terrified, and you listen to music that do the same, or only make you resonate or vibrate at your lowest base chakra, and think about your lowest nature, you would emit a psychic energy. When you're constantly being under the government's watches, and you have all these rules, statutes, codes, and policies that keep you suppressed and oppressed and angry and frustrated, then you emit a psychic energy that we call loosh, LOOSH. That psychic energy is what these nefarious beings eat. Okay, they absorb it like food. Not only were they eating that, but they were absorbing the energy of our children. While watching these low vibrational cartoons, they were absorbing their blood. You guys know about the the A word, achrome, CHROME. They were taking the blood, the organs, all of that of adults and mainly children. And specifically, they like those that are heavily melanated for their heart transplants. They were eating that stuff so that they can stay alive. These people that look like they're humans that were entertainers, many of them are not human. These politicians, these government officials, they're not human, or they're human hybrids. And even the ones that were human, they were forced to eat those certain things, the blood, the flesh of humans, and to absorb our loosh to keep us alive. So all that was allowed to happen, family, so that we can stay low vibrational and we can be easier to enslave. But their time is up. Somebody says, I think we would have to have an announcement of some sort in the military to step in to wake everybody else up. King David played the string instruments and demons had to leave King Saul. Absolutely, Sister Serena. This is how powerful music is. The music can actually cause demons to leave somebody's heart and somebody's soul and somebody's presence. So according to Sister Serena, she's right. This is biblical information and knowledge she's given us. King David, who was one of the kings in the Bible from the Solomonic dynasty. No, I think Solomon was his son. So he was the father. But his dynasty always had minstrels around him. And so King David, played the string instrument and demons. He played the instruments for King Saul and the demons had to flee. And he became a very peaceful man for the time that David was playing the harp. So they know that music has a lot of power with humans. So they do all they can to usurp the good music that we have and to play different frequencies and different hertz in music to keep us from being our God selves and trying to help us to devolve. Somebody says, Mary Yates, I think you're on to something. What did Mary says? She said, I think we will have to have, we'll definitely have to have an announcement. That's what we're being told, called the Emergency Broadcast System Announcement, or the EBS. And this announcement will allow the president or the military to circumvent or work around the mainstream media to give us information about what's really being going on. And that will happen to, like you said, awaken the masses. Before I forget, I saw a couple people bless me with Cash Apps. Thank you so much. I can't go back to the screen, so I want to thank you so much for blessing me with a monetary blessing. And when I get the opportunity, I will name you name by name. But just 1 minute, please. Anybody that want to give, my Cash App is $ Mama Kia 13, $MAMA KIA 13. Thank you so much. So let me show you just briefly proof that all this is going on. You saw many articles come out on Sunday, and some of my friends actually saw it happen live, that TD Jakes had some type of health scare during his Sunday sermon. And again, it's interesting that he's having a health scare right when Diddy is coming up for possibly being released on bail. I don't know what's going to be shown, but some people have said that they know that TD Jakes has been a participant in the Diddy parties. And some people also have alleged that he is cited as somebody that's been involved in those parties with Epstein. So we'll see. This article says popular Texas Bishop T.D. Jakes gave his congregation a scare over the weekend after enduring a health incident during a November 24th sermon at the Potter's House, his Dallas mega church. So that just happened yesterday. Reactions to the incident has been swift online as social media users have sent messages of hope and healing to Jake's family. He helped a lot of people for decades, the article says. Hope that energy comes back to help him, somebody wrote. As of this post, not much is known about what caused the incident, but according to his social media accounts, his condition is stable. So let's keep an eye on that, because a lot of times they won't tell you exactly what's going on. They will just give you the news that he had a health scare. It happened on TV in front of a live audience, but I believe that's a coded message. I believe I believe he's really afraid. Whether or not this was a real health scare or not, I don't know. But there were rumors for a long time that he was stepping down and that he had actually put his daughter in place to take on some of his duties in his church, the Potter's House, which is, you guys know, a mega church. Now, this isn't the first time that we've heard of somebody having a health scare right before news came out that they were allegedly involved in some actions dealing with children. The last time I heard of that was Eddie Long in Atlanta, Georgia. And now we hear of him, but you're going to hear many, many reports about pastors, because a lot of these pastors and the mega church, they have connections with the deep state when they have celebrities, many of them, not just one or two celebrities, thank you, but many celebrities coming in their audiences, doing certain things, praying with them or praying for them. I'm not saying that's all of the celebrities are nefarious, but we know that many of them are involved in secret societies. So it's going to be a lot of your pastors who are at the height of their career that will come out as being involved in Diddy parties or Diddy-like parties and doing things with children. Unfortunately, a lot of secret societies and their members are involved in some things that are not good, whether it be the secret societies that you join in college, or the Skull and Bones, or the Boule, or the Eastern Star, or the Freemasons, the Divine Nine, which is the Black Greek fraternities and sororities, or the other ones, because, unfortunately, in order to make it into certain positions or to have upward mobility, if you wanted to be easier on you, you had to join, or you felt compelled to join, a secret society where you pledge your allegiance to them. You do some things like let a train run through you if you're a woman and sleep with all the men, or the men do some things like sleep with other men and do some homosexual stuff. Or they would force you to do some stuff like waterboarding, force you to drink a whole bunch of water till you almost pass out. I've heard of stories of college students pledging secret societies who were forced to swim across a river or a lake, and all kind of weird things. Laying in coffins, many people involved in secret societies. I've also heard of them putting, particularly if you were in a so-called Black secret society at the highest level, like Boule and Freemason, sleeping in coffins, but also being put on your knees while blindfolded, and then the people in your group beat you left and right with different articles, and also sodomize, and they would tell you that's the way you're supposed to keep your people blind, deaf, dumb, and confused. Oh, it's coming out. And I'm not saying everybody that's a part of a secret society has done any of those things. I don't want to say that at all. I'm saying at the highest level of these secret societies, it's being shared that they are forced to do certain things, forced to participate in ritualistic sacrifice and abuse of children. They were forced, many of them, to participate in child hunting parties where they would force the children to run from them, like it's a game. They'll dress the babies up in clothes and costumes and force them to run around in the woods and the forest. And then these evil, wicked people who are part of these secret societies, of course, not all, would hunt them like animals and then catch them. And while these children, these babies are scared, unalive them and do do bad things to them while they're being unalived sexually, and then, eat their organs. Because while they're afraid, they're releasing certain chemicals and hormones in their blood that they call achrome, and that achrome helps these celebrities and these people that are in these secret societies age in reverse. And they become high off of it, because this blood is like a drug, because, it's not only young blood that keeps these people that drink it alive and young and youthful and gives them a new leash on life, but when these babies are traumatized, they get some type of, whatever the chemical is that they're releasing, it makes the person drinking this blood become very high, as if they shot up something in their veins. These people are ill. They're really sick. So unfortunately, a lot of pastors are parts of secret societies, and they are in cahoots with the whole liberal movement. That's why you saw a lot of pastors marching with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, because they're, unfortunately, I hate to say it, they're in fellowship with one another. And so in order to make it up to a certain ranks and to take all this money from the communities, whether it's Black, white, or Asian, whatever, in order to be able to get away with it, to taking money away from people and to lie to them about history, a lie to them about so-called biblical history, they had to pledge, and they got away with it. And their stuff they were doing was not taxable because they were friends with the deep state. So whenever the government wanted people in the community to be passive, to get the injection for the COVID, they would commission the pastors to tell the people in the community to do it. In order to force everybody to listen to whatever ruling came down from the courts and whatever ruling came down from the so-called government, they would commission the pastors to do so. Okay. And the pastors will pretend like there's a separation of church and state. But trust me, when they had the global pandemic and the shutdown, those pastors closed their doors just like everybody else. Why? Because they are slaves just like everybody else. They had to say, yes, sir, massa. Yes, sir, massa. I got a 501c3, massa. You said we got to close our doors, massa. Oh, yes, sir, massa. You said we should tell everybody to get a shot to inoculate them against the fake pandemic. Oh, yes, sir, massa. We going to do that too, massa. But they'll tell you that they have power and they only work for God. But they're liars. I hate to say it. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them. And then when Antifa and Black Lives Matter come knocking on the door and say, we're going to organize a rally and we're going to riot and we're going to tear up the community, the pastors will be the first ones out during Breonna Taylor marches, George Floyd. It was the pastors in the communities who was rallying up the people. It was the lawyers and the doctors bringing people on their podcast saying, oh, yeah, tear it up. Oh, yeah, we're mad and we're angry. Now, they wouldn't go to the Capitol and get those wicked people out of the White House that's making all these rulings. Oh, no, they wouldn't do that. The Capitol and the White House. Oh, no, they wouldn't go to the courts where the judge wears all black because he's performing a funeral and stealing money from your securitized bonds. Oh, no, they didn't go and tell the courts to stop it. They didn't even tell the police officers to stop. They didn't shut down police departments. They didn't stop the fake government in the Capitol, but they will rally around the people to have them tear up their own communities. I watched it with my own eyes. And the reason why they do it is because they were part of the deep state by pledging with those secret societies. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. They're friends with celebrities. They're commissioned. A lot of your so-called leaders in medicine, politics, science, higher education, coaching, music, entertainment, many of them joined those secret societies and took pledges to keep you and me enslaved for $1. They sold us out. So this is the time during the age of Aquarius, during this golden age, we're going to do some more crying as we see them get locked up and have more health scares on public TV because they literally are afraid for their lives. Even the courts are afraid right now because it was determined that they over-sentenced the J6ers and they will have to pay restitution. So it's not over yet. It's about to really come out how much we've been enslaved and how deep and dark this evil is and how it's really penetrated every segment of our society. Rise T USA says, my pastor Greg Farrington of Destiny Christian Church, Rockland, California, opened up after the 2 weeks and stayed open because he has no 501c3. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. That's great. Congratulations to your pastor. Diamande says, denounce those Greek gods. Absolutely. Serena says, I never agree with 501c3 church is to shut up the church. Yes, the 501c3 is to shut up the church. 2020, I went and I had church outside, and my husband read the word of God, which is the Bible. I won't go to a church that's closed. Wow, that's awesome. So we've all been enslaved at every different excuse me, on every different side in every society in every nation. But that time is up. You finally caught me live. I love you too. And finally, I want to show you guys. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, let's talk about and I won't keep you long. Diddy, who had parties where they had so-called freak-offs, but those parties were really not just about a bunch of sex between adults, but a sex involving children. We're wondering if he's going to. I love you too. Could Diddy get out of jail? Here's the latest on the rapper's federal sex trafficking case. Friday, November the 22nd, the rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs was due in court for a hearing on his fourth request. I thought it was his third. This is his fourth request at bond. As we wait for the judge's decision, here's what we do know about the chances of Combs being released. As previously reported by The Root, the mogul requested that he be released on $50 million bond to be on house arrest in his New York home with special restrictions, including limited phone access, around-the-clock security, and supervised visitations for a pre-approved list of family members. In the renewed bail motion, Combs' attorney argued that he should be granted his freedom for the same reason former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries was granted a $10 million bond and home detention on similar charges. Prosecutors opposed the motion, arguing the nature of both cases are substantially different, citing the allegations of Combs using violence and firearms and coercion to protect and promote his role in the alleged ex-say crimes. They also argued that unlike Jeffries, whose alleged criminal conduct concluded in 2015, Combs had continued to defy the law to this present day. So that's that. This is his fourth attempt at being released on bail. And I said I thought it was interesting that the pastor of the Potter's House, T.D. Jakes, had a health scare, a couple of days later after Combs is coming up asking to be released on bail. That's not it. Let me see if I can find that information for you on Janet Yellen stepping down. And you guys can let me know what you think the implications of Janet Yellen stepping down from the Federal Reserve Board is. She was the chairman of the board. This is her. Many people say that she inherited a large debt and a debt crisis from the administration before her, so she couldn't fix it. And then some people completely outright blame her for the financial crisis that this country has endured. This was written today, November 25th, or published today, Washington, D.C. After a 10-year marked by unprecedented challenges and bold initiatives, I'm looking on two cameras. I have Instagram here, and I have Facebook and Rumble, and what else? My YouTube channel and other social media here on my computer. So I'm looking from my phone to my computer. Washington, D.C. After a 10-year marked by unprecedented challenges and bold initiatives, Janet Yellen has stepped down as the United States Treasury Secretary. As she exits, Yellen leaves behind a legacy that has drawn both praise and criticism, with observers debating the long-term impact of her policies. Navigating turbulent waters. Yellen, the first woman to lead both the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department, took on the role in January of 2021 amid the economic turbulence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Her tenure included managing large-scale economic relief efforts, addressing inflation concerns, and navigating global financial uncertainties, including the war in Ukraine, their economic fallout. And then it talks about her divided legacy. So they're saying she tried to clean up things And some are saying she couldn't help, but do as much as she could. She couldn't completely deal with the crisis because she inherited. Nonetheless, she's stepping down as the was it secretary? What is it? The secretary, the United States secretary, and I believe she's also the chair of the Federal Reserve. But she is the Secretary of Treasury, United States Treasury Secretary. Now, as far as I can see, she will have to step down because the republic is being returned. And we already know that President Trump, before he kind of stepped down in 2020, put the duties of the Federal Reserve and the IRS underneath the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department. We also know that the Federal Reserve, like I said earlier, is insolvent and bankrupt. We know that this summer, the Supreme Court has been very busy. They not only overturned Roe versus Wade earlier, but they also overturned the Chevron doctrine, saying that all those government agencies were unlawful, unconstitutional, and had to be dismantled. But another thing that the Supreme Court did this summer was to state that state-sponsored banks could have their own charter and they could stand as banks on their own, away from the Federal Reserve. They could have state-sponsored banks could have their own duties. They would have their own charter and their own laws, and state-sponsored banks were now able to issue out their own gold-backed currencies. So another thing that happened earlier this year was the Fed Act was introduced. And some people say behind the scenes, the Federal Reserve was actually dismantled. So when you have the Supreme Court of the United States saying that state-sponsored banks could now have their own charter, they have duties, operate separate from, didn't have to have anything to do with the Federal Reserve, and can issue out their own gold-backed currencies. In essence, you're saying that the republic has been restored and state-sponsored banks now operate completely separate from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has no power over state-sponsored banks. This is important because according to our republic, our lawful government, each state in America is actually a country, and each state has its own laws, its own flag, its own lawmakers. So North America, this place that we call America with 50 states is actually a continent, and the states are actually countries. So that was what gave the Supreme Court the power and the idea to say state-sponsored banks can now operate completely separately from the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve is not government. It's not government run. It's not a part of our republic. It's not a part of anything having to do with we the people. These are just bloodline families that completely took over and made themselves over the monetary dealings of we the people. They enslaved us by having us to use the United States dollar. But you know, and I know that according to the BRICS Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they're no longer dealing with the United States dollar. They agreed behind the scenes, we call it Project Sandman, all 209 nations, to drop the dollar, to stop trading with the United States dollar, because it was owned, printed by, and controlled by the Federal Reserve banking system, which is not our government. The only thing, or the only power that's supposed to be operating on this land is the republic and the Constitution for our republic. And we already have our department set up that would deal with money, and it sure isn't the Federal Reserve. So Janet Yellen stepping down and resigning is huge. You can see that President Trump and the alliance is in place right now. You can see that they're in power. You can actually see with your eyes that things are turning around for the benefit of humanity. So all we need now is an official announcement, family. And that's why a lot of people are saying that we're looking for the emergency broadcast system announcement. And as Sister Barbara Pittman said, Judgment Day is here and karma is here. Every single person and entity that did something to we the people to enslave us, anything they did to participate, now they're going to have to pay for it. Gigi says, Aquarius age is a spiritual age, so we're back to spirituality first. And this is the death of the fake religions. because we were in the Pisces age or the Piscean age, which had to deal with religions. Okay, we had to deal with us looking outside of ourselves for a God to help us. Now you're going to be looking inside yourself. You're going to realize that you are God. Even the Christian Bible said you are God's in at least two places in the biblical text, because everything is God. Everything is source. Source is in everything. Remember, I said God is a frequency. Everything has source. Animals, plants, insects, the ground, the dust of the earth, the dirt. It's all source. We, as so-called humans, so everything that one of us does actually impacts the whole, because we're all source. Source is in us. We're made of source. And if we should die, we're going to return right back to source. Right back to, Gigi says, right back to Mayat. Barbara says, Dr. Pruitt can't say what she really wants to say on here, and you all know what that is. Yellen and Powell. Okay, Nancy St. Clair says, I heard on YouTube Yellen and Jay Powell left to Dubai and no extraditions. Oh, it's about to get real. We're about to witness some public hangings, military tribunals, all type of judgments, court proceedings right on television. And some people say it will happen between 3 and 10 days. Well, everybody will be in their homes actually watching this once we have the emergency broadcast system announcement. Anything else, family? What I'm looking for now is the last thing I wanted to say, but anything else before we get off, family? Oh, you guys already know I said that Woolery, who was, so he was a show, what did you call it? A game show host. He hosted Wheel of Fortune and also The Love Connection. And there was another one. Oh, Scrabble. Well, he has died. And I don't know if you're into decoding, but it looks like it's what they're saying. They no longer have a Wheel of Fortune. Their Wheel of Fortune is dead. It's deceased. The deep state, they no longer will be able to run roughshod in our lives. They no longer have control of the monetary system. Their Wheel of Fortune has come to an end, family. It's a wrap. So now, if anybody has any questions, I'll take those. But I did just want to let you all know that the deep state is panicking. The J6ers being released and being told that they were over sentenced and that it was unconstitutional to arrest them because they have a right to assemble. Oh, that's what I need to show you. Let's look at the First Amendment. The First Amendment right here. You have a right to assemble. You have a right to form a militia. You have a right to do whatever it takes to protect and preserve your right to liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But I like this First Amendment to the United States Constitution. It prevents Congress from making laws respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exchange of religion, or abridging the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of assembly, or the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. This was adopted on December 15th, 1791, as one of the 10 amendments that constitutes the Bill of Rights. In the original draft of the Bill of Rights, what is now the First Amendment occupied third place. The first two articles were not ratified by the states, so the article on de-establishment and freedom and free speech ended up being first. And that brings me to the the Bill of Rights actually was adopted December the 15th, 1791. On December the 15th, 2022, I think it was either 2022 or 2023, President Trump actually created the Digital Bill of Rights, stating that mainstream media could no longer censor us and social media could no longer censor us. And he stated from Mar-a-Lago that with the Digital Bill of Rights Act, he will make sure that none of this happens, and that not only whether it's mainstream media, or even public education, institution of higher education, that will not only infringe upon our freedom of speech, but that will try to force certain agendas on us or our children. If they do that, they will all be defunded. So President Trump has been letting us know that he's still the commander in chief. He did that again, the Digital Bill of Rights Act, I want to say it might have been 2 years ago from Mar-a-Lago. But the man is still doing some wonderful things. And many say that he will probably pardon the J6 prisoners of war. So that's it, family. I don't want to bore your patience. I just want you to know that the deep state is panicking. And when I get some time, I'll let you know how we know that the whole planet that had been quarantined is now going through a time where that quarantine will be lifted. And I was trying to find the article letting you know that that's happening, but I don't see it here. Nope, I don't have the article pulled up. So please forgive me for that. We can do it when I get more time. Let me see. No. Oh, here's more information. I keep getting people saying that it's being announced that bombshell reports the Supreme Court to announce the Brunson case within 48 hours. Now, I would say if you want to listen to this information, use your discernment. But I showed you a video a couple of weeks ago of two podcasters actually saying that. A geopolitical analyst being on a podcaster show saying that the Brunson case would be announced and that it had been decided. Here it says, boom, Judy Byington bombshell report. The Supreme Court is to announce Brunson's case within 48 hours. This was published today, November 25th. And all of Congress, Biden's administration and all of Congress are expected to be dissolved because according to the Brunson case, once it's determined that they made our nation a security breach, they all have to have their credentials stripped. Judy Byington bombshell report, Supreme Court to announce Brunson's case within 48 hours. I'm reading an article. Biden's administration, all of Congress will be dissolved. This report was Monday or Moon Day. Here we go with the word moon, November 25th, 2024. That's it. Let's see. Biden administration, Supreme Court will announce Biden's Brunson case within 48 hours. Biden's administration and all of Congress are expected to dissolve. Trump and his administration already are in the White House, the article states. Military is taking over the media to make mass arrests. And I told you with the Digital Bill of Rights Act, it was already determined that the mainstream media no longer had power. They could no longer suppress us and they could no longer censor people. Military are taking over the media to make mass arrests. A scare event may occur, and some people are saying the scare event could be, this is Pruitt speaking now, Joseph Biden trying to instigate World War III. Russia is prepping for war with the United States, UK, and France, deploying mega bombs. France authorized the Ukraine to strike Russia with French missiles. So we have to fight to save our Constitution. So for those of you who don't know, Biden had actually encouraged the Ukraine. What people say, don't say the Ukraine to strike missiles or send nuclear missiles to Russia. And if he does that, that will cause a World War III. That could be the scary event. But we are living in a time where not only the 209 nations agree not to trade with the United States dollar, but to use their own currencies to trade backed by gold and to use only silver and gold to trade, but they also agreed to planetary peace. So if Biden tries to instigate a war, then that's going to be a problem. So President Trump would need to come on forward through an emergency broadcast system announcement and let us know that the Brunson case has been decided in favor of the Brunsons, that the Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration made us a breach by allowing these illegal aliens to come in and take over our country, take our resources, take our jobs, take up arms. Many of them become violent. Our violence went up in our nations, and vote unlawfully, which means that the 2020 elections and the 2022 elections can be completely determined as having been fraudulent. And the whole Biden administration will be deemed null and void. That would mean, with the 2020 elections being deemed unconstitutional and that whole administration null and void, that even Kamala Harris couldn't step forward and take Biden's place. Because as I reported a couple of days ago, both the Republicans and the Democrats are calling for Biden to step down. So they can't put up Kamala Harris if the whole administration is taken down. So this would be the perfect time for the ruling of the Supreme Court in favor of the Brunson brothers and we the American people to be announced through an emergency broadcast system announcement, hopefully, and then President Donald Trump will come forward as the legitimate, rightful, constitutional president. So that's it, family. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast today. The deep state is panicking. They're terrified. They know that, things are happening behind the scenes. They know that we've been awakened. Our crown chakra has been activated. Our corona status is here. We understand that this is the age of Aquarius. We are now walking in our godship and our kingship, queenship as gods in the flesh. We now know that we can command things to be so. We don't have to get on our knees and beg a God. We don't have to cry and scream and fight and complain. All we have to do as being gods in flesh is command things to be so. We command righteousness. We command justice for the J6ers. We command justice for we the people. We command peace and planetary prosperity. We command love. We command joy. And we command every spirit, every entity, every being, man, woman, child, human or non-human, to be dealt with and judged, and to go back from the pit from which they've come, to leave our planet and to go through the portals, and the portals to be shut. We command these things to be so because we are God in flesh and we know the power that we have. We're not afraid. In fact, we are empowered. We have dominion over all these spirits and all these entities, and we realize it and recognize it, and we're walking in it right now. So peace and prosperity be upon all of you under the sound of my voice, and even those of you who have not heard my voice. Peace be upon you, long life, prosperity, justice, and love everlasting. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. It is your time, family. Now go out and command your blessings in the here and the now. Command power, peace, and prosperity, and go and make this a great day. I love you so much, family. We'll be back on if we hear any more news. Mwah. Good night. Supreme abundance to you all.